The following podcast is not actually a podcast at all, but a YouTube video Thomas and I made almost 2 years ago that inspired the podcast. You can find the audio cassette of this book at camphortree.net, H-O-R, tree, and there is a collection of the stills as well as the audio recording. All right, Thomas, thanks for coming over here today listen to... We have 2 amazing storybooks based on the adventures of the Transformers.
Okay, you brought me over, you said you had books on tape.
And record.
And record?
Do you have a record player?
No.
Unfortunately, the second book did not come with its own record, so I had to go and get the cassette tapes. Now, the cassette I have growing up is actually in here with both stories. This one I just got to make a cool visual, so here you go.
So
but and also as a backup, because this is a 20-year-old tape that I listened to a lot as a kid.
So on this tape, there's just one story.
Yeah, but I had both, because I think it came with a storybook. Obviously not these storybooks, because these have record inserts in the back. So mine looked exactly like this, just minus the back. And you asked earlier what company put these out. These were put out by Kid Stuff Records and Tapes. As you can see, they're going off into a magical journey when listening to correct cassettes and tapes because they're using their imagination.
So did Kid Stuff actually do anything else besides this Transformers stuff?
Let's see. In the inserts on the inside, oh, look at this. This book belongs to, my name is, my address is, my phone number is, city, state. Just in case you lose your book at school, your friends or people you don't know can contact you and give it back to you.
It's not just the book, it's the deluxe edition with the record.
Yeah. That says, Talking Storybook, a delightful, entertaining way to encourage children to read. Stories that children love to hear. Beautiful full-color storybooks. Word-for-word read-aloud books, and exciting sound effects that your imagination wouldn't be able to think of.
Wow.
Well, here it is. All your favorites, such as Garfield, Pac-Man, Looney Tunes, Raggedy Ann and Andy, Benji, Masters of the Universe, Space Shuttle Columbia.
You mean the space shuttle that...
That was Challenger.
Oh,
okay?
Challenger.
Yeah, I knew exactly what you were thinking.
I didn't speak it, so it didn't happen.
It's 2001: A Space Odyssey for children.
I don't think that's a very good movie for a child.
We got Atari, Strawberry Shortcake, Flash Gordon. Ronald McDonald had his own storybooks back in the day. Care Bears, Chipmunks, Dukes of Hazzard. Because, as a kid, we all watched Dukes of Hazzard.
I mean, yeah, that's fine for a kid.
Poochie, whatever that is. Barbie and Friends.
I want to watch The Rocky.
James Bond for kids. Rocky for kids.
Just commentary of a boxing match.
Some of these are just 4 of these don't seem like they're for kids. I do not know.
The next edition will be like RoboCop, Aliens.
Send for your free catalog. Alright, so before we begin though, what was your first experience with Transformers?
I don't actually remember a lot about Transformers when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I probably started watching or was kind of aware of Transformers only around the early 90s, 92 or something like that.
So when you were around 10 or so?
No, when I was about 7 or 8.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when I first started watching cartoons, the main cartoons I was really into was DuckTales and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Those 2 were the cartoons that I spent a lot of time watching. A lot of the Disney cartoons and stuff like that, like Tailspin and all that. See,
I watched all those too, but Transformers is what I watched before I could even remember stuff from my memories. Mm-hmm. Because I remember it was on the TV when I was in preschool or before going into elementary school. Because we would just see it all the time. So
they played cartoons before you guys went to class?
Well, no. My parents.
Or do you just mean at home?
At home, we had these shows we watched, because I remember watching Transformers repeats, or when they were new, I guess, but the movie was also broken down into 5 episodes. So to me, the movie wasn't a movie, it was just what happened in the regular series, as you were watching it.
Yeah.
The movie to which you have not seen yet, apparently.
It's not required.
Because your hero perishes in that movie.
Yeah, I'm not gonna... Can I turn away when that happens?
His hero is Starscream, by the way. But, would you like to operate this for us so we can begin?
I mean, I can try. That just says close. How do you open this?
So did you have a cassette player growing up?
Yeah.
The little up button is eject or pop up. And you got the tape in here. Make sure it's on the correct side or it'll automatically stop and you'll wonder what's going on.
Side B, side A.
Here, flip it up. Okay, so side A. It looks like... So we don't know which the first adventure is going to be, so we'll just find out when the tape tells us. Because I think both are on both sides. So... I also think that... Yep, it's plugged into the plug that requires a light switch to operate.
Well, that's great.
Alright, now that we got power, we can hit the power button. And now... I'm not sure if you know this, but if you hit this arrow button, it means play. So here we go.
Does it mean go to the next track?
And then you can follow along with our storybook.
Come on, Satellite of Doom. I want to hear the story about this giant lightsaber with this giant diamond on the top.
It's going to have that things where it's like, remember to hear boom to turn the page.
Oh.
If I recall. What's going on?
Just turn the volume up.
It is up.
It's set for CD.
Oh,
you have to
no wonder
change
it's
it.
set for CD. Alright guys.
Right here. It's fine.
Well, it was on tape before I shut it off. So, it just automatically thinks that everyone must listen to CDs at this point in their life.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we gotta rewind it now. See, with the 2 left buttons, that means rewind, stop, and then play. Might be a little too loud. Ooh, the static of the cassette tape is coming.
Speaker test.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to your Transformers story tape. Sit back and relax. Now it's time to start our first exciting Transformers story. Here we go with Satellite of Doom.
Yes! Your book. Satellite of Doom.
Megatron, the evil Decepticon leader, stood on the observation deck inside the tremendous 200-square-mile cavern. It had been hollowed out beneath the fiery surface of Africa's Kalahari Desert. Next to him was his aide, Soundwave. The din of monstrous earth-moving machinery working forced them to yell.
How much longer are we going to have to stay under this merciless desert, Master?
Yelled Soundwave.
As long as it takes to complete our task here.
Megatron snarled.
Okay, Soundwave would never be that annoying.
Because this blasted sand keeps getting in my cassette drives and it's fouling everybody else's transmissions
Okay,
too.
I don't know much about Transformers.
At least.
I don't
That is
recall
why we have lured-
Soundwave having just like a normal human voice like that.
Well, remember, this is low budget, so they're just having people speak like into fishbowls or in their parents' closet to record the audio, you know, to make sure it sounds almost like a robot.
Oh, this is terrible. Where's the
Thousands of
auto-tune?
greedy carbon-based humanoids here to perform the excavation and loading of the chamber for us there, using false promises of vast wealth.
Is this Megatron?
and
Is this Megatron? Yeah.
They-
It's like his accent changed.
Ironically amusing.
Ironically amusing.
It's certainly one of your better jokes, all-powerful Megatron.
Oh, are those the Constructicons yellow instead
Moments
of green?
later, the roaring turbine drives of another huge
I do remember this
Decepticon
guy's
coal
voice, though.
transporter
The
flew in
narrator?
the air
Of them, yeah.
as it ended its long journey.
I think he was actually
As the
pretty
tons
good
of coal
at narrating.
spilled out, slaves worked like ants, bulldozing it to those parts of the chamber not yet packed from floor to ceiling.
What volume of coal is inside now?
Megatron
Pull
demanded.
forward.
400 billion cubic yards, Master.
It's the largest single concentration of coal on this planet.
Wow.
Only 2 more loads to go.
What
and then we can
happened? How
proceed
far in the
with
future
next
is this
phase
where
of my
they've
plan.
run out of
Wait,
energon?
are the
Electronite
lectinite charges in place?
Well, Master, almost.
You see the sand and transmission problems? Almost.
Everything will be completed on time, mighty Megatron.
The entire cavern will be filled within a cocoon of lectinite explosives, just as you ordered. Your worthless mecha life depends on that, Soundwave.
So, basically Soundwave and Starscream are the same character in this book.
That's blasphemy. That's blasphemy. They're saying that neither one is good enough to stand by themselves. Now they just combine them.
Because in Megatron would never harass Soundwave like that because he knows he's loyal.
Yeah.
This is one of those early books. Like, if you look at the year, I'm pretty sure.
I think it said it was 86. The tape.
Yeah. Well, see, 85 is with this book. So it probably came out the very year the cartoons were coming out. So what they were doing, they was planning everything. So, like the storybook I've also got from back there, you can tell like they were made the year of, which means they were in development along with everything else. So some stuff's going to get lost along the way about who does what, who acts like what, things like that. But it's still pretty consistent as far as like all the designs and everything goes.
Skyfire, the Autobot Air Guardian, screamed in low over the lifeless figure lying on the desert floor, and then shot straight up into the sky. Skyfire's coded signal filled the Autobot command center, where an impatient Optimus Prime, the fearless Autobot leader, and his right hand Prowl, listened intently.
The Decepticons are out there somewhere, Prowl. I know it. We tracked their transport to the area until it disappeared from our screens. What vicious scheme can the evil Megatron be hatching now?
Perhaps that Earthling lying out there holds the answer, Chief.
He's totally unconscious and beyond answering questions.
Not once the sensor drone reaches him and
For a minute I thought that weird voice was Optimus. I'm like, no way.
At that, the computer sprang
like
to life,
the
and the printer began
Megatron
spitting
and
out the
Optimus are
results.
the same guy.
Optimus Prime was puzzled.
Slaves? A 200-square-mile block of coal? What for?
Oh, their computer's processing hard to figure that out.
The Decepticon command ship blasted off. Its enormous rocket drives created a dust storm the size of a large city. The lights from the control console cast an eerie glow across the evil impassivity of Megatron's
The most
face.
gun-form Megatron has ever been.
I have to listen to the vile curses and screaming.
That's because Megatron is his action figure drawing, not the animated series drawing.
They certainly weren't happy about being left sealed up with all that coal.
The slave's carbon base will soon join the carbon base of the coal, thus create...
Hold on a second. Did Megatron just kill every single one of his slaves in that mountain, all the humans? Did we just witness like a ton of humans just get killed in a children's book?
Yeah.
Let's look here.
Listen what he says.
At least we no longer have to listen to their curses and screamings after they set off their rocket ship that created a dust storm. They weren't happy about being left sealed up. Well, the story's not over. It's possible the Autobots could go in and rescue them all, so we'll see. Stay tuned.
All right.
The largest lens in the universe. Normally it would have taken millions of Earth years and multi-tons of pressure to form the diamond I need. But with my genius and the force of the tons of electrolyte, I shall create that crystal at the press of a button.
And with that, Megatron released an explosion, the force of which the world had never seen, not even in its most powerful H-bomb. The explosion left in its wake the largest diamond ever formed.
Attack anti-gravity lifters and secure crystal for towing, Soundwave.
Roger, Master.
Alright, here's why I think the humans are still alive. Megatron used that massive explosion, bigger than the H-bomb, in the Sahara Desert, where no humans can be harmed, because it's a children's story. So that makes me think the humans are sealed and still alive.
How long, though?
We'll see. They might run out of air soon.
The Decepticon satellite launching complex lay isolated, deep in the steaming jungles of Brazil's Mato Grosso. Megatron supervised the final laser cuts for the refraction surfaces on the monstrous diamond satellite.
T-minus 10
Diamond satellite.
Soundwave. Why are you looking so grim?
The humidity, Master. My cassette drives. It's as bad as the sand from the desert.
Have no fear. soon we Decepticons will have all the oil we need to bathe and protect our drives and transmissions. I cannot wait for each tiny puddle of oil on this miserable planet to fall into our hands. Therefore, with my crystal satellite, I shall have a lens powerful enough to focus the puny energy of that tiny sun and melt the entire mountain range they call the Rockies, turning it into an ocean of oil. And from that oil, my refineries will supply us with the fuel for the final defeat
Is your
of the
brain
Autobots
breaking over there?
and the conquest of the universe.
But as Megatron spoke, he failed to notice Bumblebee, the hovering Autobot spy, surveying their activity.
I like how they're... So his plan is to melt... He blows up... He gets humans to work for him in the Sahara Desert, underground. Blows it up, all the coal they've collected to make a diamond. Travels to Brazil to focus said diamond into America on the Rockies. To melt the snow, so that the snow turns into oil somehow. And they collect that oil because Energon doesn't exist in these storybooks. And also, Soundwave is still an annoying complainer, just like Starscream all the time. Only without trying to overthrow him.
I don't like that. The overthrowing is what makes him an interesting character.
Here he's just... This guy's just a whiner. He's not even... He could... This guy could be replaced with anybody. Like, and, any of the Decepticons right now, and it would probably match some of them, but not Soundwave.
But unfortunately, as you guys will eventually see, that there's only 2 Decepticons so far.
And
there's no other henchmen. There hasn't been any pictures.
Well, there's 3, and apparently there's 3 Autobots too. There's Bumblebee, Skyfire. Oh no, there's Prowl and Optimus.
Yeah,
so we got
Prowl and Bumblebee were mentioned. We still haven't seen them.
First, the rumble of pre-ignition began on the giant Decepticon crystal satellite propulsion vehicle.
Wow,
Then, the main ignition kicked in with a blast that sent shockwaves reverberating along the ground and through the jungle foliage and air alike. But as the launch vehicle began to rise, a superjet appeared.
Attack, brave Autobot Skyfire! Attack!
Optimus Prime ordered over the command channel, breaking radio silence.
Destroy Megatron and this newest tool of his evil imagination!
The explosive fury of Skyfire's null rays and missiles was too late, however, as the launch vehicle shrugged them off and rose up through the atmosphere into space.
Optimus Prime, you have met your match!
Megatron gloated as he detonated an explosive charge, destroying the launch complex. Then he and the Decepticons punched in their afterburners and made a strategic withdrawal to await the fruits of their foul plan.
So the Autobots just failed everybody.
Commercial break.
Never before had the Earth been so vulnerable and unsuspecting. And it was all a result of the diabolic design of the villainous leader of the Decepticons, Megatron.
Every cartoon in the 80s did stuff
an
like
enormous
that.
diamond lens
Like,
satellite into
over-describe the
space
evil,
over the
the
North
people, the
American
bad guys.
continent. He was now preparing to fix its position so he could bring the
They
full
always do
extent
it,
of the
like
sun's
jamming
energy to
tunes
bear
over here
and
now.
melt the Rocky Mountains into an ocean of oil. That oil would be used to fuel his corrupt pursuit of
Oh, he's
universal
melting the
domination.
entire mountains.
Therefore,
into
buried
oils.
deep inside a remote location in Northeast America, Megatron and Soundwave concentrated at the controls in the Decepticon ground station as they made the final adjustments to the satellite.
2-second burn on the starboard attitude thruster.
Megatron ordered.
Roger, Master.
Shut down all engines.
Roger. All engines shut down at this time.
No, the satellite lens is in a fixed orbit over its target. When the first rays of the sun strike it, the fun will begin.
Oh man, Earth's in danger, losing
In the
Rocky
Autobot
Mountains.
Command Center, Optimus
How will the
Prime
planet
and
go
Prowl
on with one-
were
without
also
one mountain
monitoring
range?
these last movements of the Decepticon satellite
There's
as it
Prowl
assumed
standing
its stationary
awkwardly.
position far
Just
out
like-
in space.
That's it, Chief. Looks like they're on station.
And Optimus is like, no,
Shut
turn
down all
around, look
rockets.
behind you.
Furious.
Here comes the sun. But wait! Look, Chief! The refraction facets of the lens are beginning to focus a beam of sunlight.
Optimus Prime interrupted with shock and disbelieving horror, understanding suddenly and full well the terrible weight of the consequences of Megatron's fiendish plan.
The energy of hundreds of millions of hydrogen bombs concentrated on a confined area like that is going to precipitate disastrous and deadly results.
Cartoon science, everyone.
Heat all right, Chief.
Millions will perish in the ensuing calamity of Megatron's debased thinking.
Debased thinking, that's a new one I never heard from my children.
Scorching rays of
Is
the
this for
satellite's beam
children
began
again?
to sear
Yeah.
the mountains. The surface temperature of the ground jumped upward 10 times 1,000-fold.
Jesus.
Entire
Everyone would be
forests immediately
dead.
burst into violent flames, and tons of smoke and soot began to rain down on the continent. Then the rocks began to liquefy, slowly at first, secreting the moisture held tightly for eons within the granite and shale. Finally,
very
sweating
descriptive
out the
kids'
first
book.
signs of the precious black fluid so dear to Megatron's callous heart. Then the heat factor began to soar at a rate beyond imagination, and the last bastion of geologic formation wilted before it, changing from a
so
solid
wordy.
state to a liquid.
We have to know
Gases,
everything that's
molten
going
lava,
on to
and
the Rocky
oil
Mountains.
flowed into rivers and then formed into lakes. The
Lakes of
expanding
oil?
sea of death threatened to
It's a
engulf
huge
Los
ecological
Angeles and the
disaster.
entire west coast. At an ever-increasing speed, it also began moving eastward, menacing small desert towns as its volume doubled and redoubled.
That's crazy. The rate. This is like flash speed kind of stuff. Like, how can you?
Okay, and this is not something that you can recover from after the Autobots save the day like they will. This is
Yeah.
going to be like, oh, we saved the day, and
North
everyone's just going to
America-
point to North America and be like, we have no more mountains.
Yeah, they went immediately from the Rocky Mountains to the West Coast and to the East Coast. Like the states in between, they're destroyed. That's it. All those people are dead.
I like how it just reminds me of, what is it? There was an episode of Justice League a long time ago where someone's trying to use global warming to make all the ice caps start melting. So they're all battling in the Antarctica and everything's going falling around. I was like, this is not something you just save after you fight the bad guy. I mean,
There's lasting
there's
damage
lasting
there.
damage after this.
Are you just going to take a giant AC back up there and freeze the ice caps again?
Not possessing the perfect weapon needed to destroy the
I didn't know
satellite,
Skyfire
and
could
not
go into
having the
space.
luxury of time to come up with
Yeah,
a
if
variety
he
of
could do that, he
solutions,
should have just kept
Optimus
chasing the
Prime
satellite to
quickly
begin with,
improvised.
instead of
The
pulling
lens
back.
was
Instead,
beyond
all of humanity
Skyfire's
suffered
range,
because of him, not
because
remembering
the
his own
fuel necessary
abilities.
to reach it was more than he could carry. But with Ratchet's mechanical wizardry, he was prepared to try something.
Oh,
Isn't Skyfire ready, Prowl? What's holding things up?
Ratchet appeared out of nowhere.
Ratchet's good, Chief, but he's only mechanical.
Skyfire will be online as soon as Ratchet has the auxiliary booster tanks attached and fueled up.
There we go.
That's it, Chief! Ratchet just gave me the go-ahead!
Launch then! Immediately!
The Autobot Air Guardian roared into space, knowing he would not have enough fuel to return safely from his mission.
Skyfire, no.
And at his fuel limit, he released a barrage of null rays and missiles that concentrated in a mighty display of explosive power.
The humans will come out of the Sahara Desert
In
to
the
save him from
Decepticon
space
ground
somehow.
station, Megatron slapped Soundwave across the back so hard in a fit of glee that he almost popped Soundwave's cassette right out of his chest.
Did you see that? Not a scratch, not even close. They cannot touch us. Ha ha! Optimus Prime, prepare to meet your mechanic.
Absolutely all-powerful Megatron. And did you see how the Autobot superjet burned on re-entry into the atmosphere? That was nice too.
But although time and options were limited, Optimus Prime still had a card up his sleeve. He had instructed Ratchet to weld together a square-mile sheet of polished metal. And now, using
did that happen?
electromagnetic
How long
lift, a
did that
squadron
take?
of Autobots was
Wait.
flying the metal sheet into position between the satellite lens and its focal point on the Earth's surface.
Look, mighty Megatron.
Soundwave said in a confused manner as he pointed at the video monitor.
The Autobots are up to something funny with that giant metal
Mirror! Oh, busted gears and cracked drive shafts.
Megatron screamed as the mirror intercepted the satellite's beam and bounced it spaceward again.
Okay, hold on. Go back. See that picture right here? In the picture, they're clearly in space with the metal blocking, but in the description, they are obviously standing or up a little bit in the air where they know the laser is reflecting, because the Autobots can't go into space. Neither does it say in the description that they're actually in space.
They don't have the boosters that Skyfire had either.
Yeah. So, anyway, I think our story's about to
The
conclude.
moment the reversed beam struck the satellite, it instantly exploded into millions of crystal shards with a force so tremendous that tides on Earth were raised 10 feet. And using the
Just more destruction.
Desperate instructions
Just
to his creation,
F Earth.
Optimus Prime launched an all-out attack of Autobots on the Decepticon ground station. Using special thermo-excavator missiles, they peeled open Megatron's underground lair like a tin can.
Optimus Prime, you metallic nemesis!
Megatron roared in his exposed fury.
One day I will remove the yoke of your existence from around my neck. I shall erase your very mechanical being from the face of the universe.
Master, quickly, into the turbine mold machine.
You mean like the thing
Megatron and
Shredder uses?
Soundwave drove deep into the earth in their escape, leaving only the tailings of the borehole and destruction behind them for the first Autobot scouts to find. For the moment, the planet was safe again.
Was it?
But the battle continues.
Wow. That story, I don't know if they had an editor kind of check that out and go over some of that lore.
I know. Wow. So, that's Transformers Satellite of Doom. One thing I don't understand about this story is, those humans didn't come back. Megatron sealed sealed those humans under the Sahara Desert, even though you saw an explosion in the background. They ain't coming out of that cave after if an explosive bigger than the H-bomb is on top of them, I'm pretty sure it's collapsing the tunnel on top of them.
Yep.
And
I think they were well aware of that. They never mentioned them again. Optimus didn't go save them. How long did it take for them to build that square mile piece of mirror?
Yeah.
And attach those rocket boosters to Skyfire?
I mean, it it doesn't, it's just like I'm surprised no editor said, guys, we just killed a lot of humans in our storybook for kids. And not only that, if you, so they're borrowing let's just use that Ninja Turtles thing and they can escape in that. That's fine.
Yeah, they're heading down to the Technodrome.
And the world's not saved. There's still millions of miles of oil in the United States.
That's correct.
That they can just pop up in their little thing, take some oil and leave. And what are they going to do? Well, in the cartoon, anytime Megatron's like, hey guys, I'm here doing something, the Autobots are like, let's go! And then the minute, Starscream picks up block number 2, they're there. But the minute he's picking up block number 3, or Energon Cube number 3, even though they were 80 states away or something like that, you know.
But apparently America will be alright with all that new oil they have.
Yeah.
They're the number one oil superpower now.
Here's one thing I never understood is I watched one of the Transformers shows, and this sentence reminded me of it because he says, I will remove the yoke of your existence. Transformers don't have eggs to be able to say that.
Yeah.
So it's like there was one of the Transformers shows I watched, they were always making horrible, lame, I'll get you blah 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 things, or I'll burn you like a sunburn, or something weird like that. I was like, but Transformers don't get sunburn.
Yeah,
how do they make a joke like that?
Afflictions that humans would have to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, it's so kids can relate, I guess, to these giant hulking monstrosities of machines. So what did you think of Satellite of Doom? Your final thoughts on that?
I like that one. I'm glad that one came up first. It actually seemed like the more interesting one from that cover, but who knows? This might be equally as crazy.
Oh yeah, I was trying to see if it actually labeled the writer of the book in any way, because look at that. It already tells you Autobots, Transformers, Decepticons, Optimus Prime, Prowl, Megatron, Soundwave, Skyfire, Bumblebee, and Ratchet are trademarks Hasbro Bradley. Registered U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. Yeah, there's nothing in here that indicates the writer for this one.
Hi, everybody. This is your Transformers read-along book. Every time you hear this sound, it means it's time to turn the page in your storybook. Now, if you are ready, we will start the story Satellite of Doom. Don't forget to turn the page every time you hear the sound.